Hi, I'm Dick Eydt with Bites by Eydt. We are a boutique catering company based in Atlanta, Georgia. Although we travel up and down the eastern seaboard, preparing events and dinners and parties and special occasions for our clients in Connecticut, Nantucket, New York, Tennessee. We'll go down to Florida. A client's taking us out to Colorado for their wedding in the end of May. So that's moving along nicely. One of the most recent developments we have is that I hired Travis Dorsey, works with us in Atlanta, and Travis worked for Madonna for 10 years. And he did her last 2 world tours for her. And he also worked for Jennifer Lawrence for a summer out in the Hamptons. So he's a wonderful chef. People always ask me, oh, could he get us to meet Madonna? So I asked Travis, and he said, well, over the years, the last 4 presidents have asked her to meet. And she's like, I don't think so. I tell my clients, unfortunately, I don't think she'll meet you backstage at the concert. She was just in Atlanta on Monday. It was a great show. And Travis is super. And this item he has cooked for Madonna on several occasions. And it is a cauliflower soup with cheddar cheese, leeks, garlic, a little bit of cream, and water. This one head of cauliflower will make, depending on how thick you want it, will make between 6 and 8 portions. So let's begin. One of the keys for doing this is that you want the soup to be white. So typically when I cook cauliflower, as I do from my meal prep for every week, I roast it in the oven, and I like it when the cauliflower gets charred and caramelized. But on this, we don't want it. So we'll cook it on a lower temperature. So the cauliflower stays white, there's no coloring. The leeks will stay white. So it's a little bit of a slower process. And then we'll garnish it with some fried pickles. We're gonna use dill pickles. You could use bread and butter pickles, but that's sweet. And what I like in this, and what Chef Travis likes, is the contrast, a little bit of the pungent, sharp of the dill. And then we'll also take a lemon rind. He will preserve his. He'll use a Myers lemon and preserve it for a couple days, couple of weeks, and use that as a garnish. So you get some interesting flavors on that. And you can also use some roasted or toasted pistachios, so you get a little crunch to it. So let's begin with the cauliflower, and we'll cut these into small pieces, and then we'll just roast it on the stovetop, and everything will be done here on the stovetop. You could do it in the oven if you wanted to, but I think this way is just a little bit easier, and I like keeping my eye on everything when I'm cooking. I don't like to take my eye off of it. It won't get the coloring that we don't want. I'll cut these along and try to keep it as whole as possible so don't get that many crumbs on there. So, do you want to use the stems or not use the stems? I like using the stems. But if you don't want to, you don't have to. I like it just because of a little bit more texture on there. So I'll use those. And then when we finish the soup, we'll use a hand mixer and puree it. You can make this soup well in advance and let it sit for a couple of days in the fridge. It just continues to get more flavors. For the cheddar cheese, I always like a nice sharp cheddar cheese, but also one that's been aged for a couple of years. And this cheddar cheese has been aged for 3 years. So it has great flavor, it's sort of nutty. You know, in the soup, it will add that layer of complexity to it. It's not like a cheese soup at all, but you'll notice something in there. So it doesn't overpower it, but it does give it some nice flavor. And it's more subtle. And that's what I like, that's what Travis likes. He's done several variations of this soup for Madonna. She likes his cooking. He, like I said, he's a wonderful chef. He's like me, he's very, very cool, very relaxed. We always, whenever we do parties, we get there 3 hours in advance, and do all the prep work and get everything all set to go. So the last hour or half hour or so, we're just standing around twiddling our thumbs. If our clients need some help with moving tables, chairs, whatever, we're there to do that. And if we're relaxed, our clients are relaxed, I tell them, you know, just go and go on with your day and take your shower and get ready, and everything will be set by the time you come down, and it's all under control. So that's good. He always had good stories, you know, about cooking for Madonna. He would, you know, when they're doing the world tour, they're traveling around the world, of course. He's cooking for her in his hotel room, and you know, you can't cook in the hotel room itself. So there he is cooking in the bathroom with a vent fan on. So he has a hot plate that he's cooking some lamb chop lollipops, and he has a torch, and he's trying to get some sear on it. So it's always fun and an adventure. We did a party for a client of ours that was handing the company over to their employees, and so their employees were now stakeholders. So they wanted to do steaks, and we did it in their warehouse where they have no cooking at all, and it was for 100 of their new stakeholders. And I told her, I said, you know, we can do a steak, but it won't be a steak, it will be a whole beef tenderloin. And for those that don't like the beef, we'll do some chicken. So we brought out a grill, and we did some grilled vegetables, we did a nice salad, we did the tenderloin, and we did the chicken, and there was no equipment. So it just adds a nice layer of complexity and sort of fun to the experience, and the clients are wowed about it, so that's good. So we'll start with the sauteing slowly, and we'll add some olive oil. And I'm going to chop up some garlic. So, as I always say, you know, how much garlic do you want to put in there? And on this, I'd probably do 2 nice cloves of garlic. I wouldn't do any more unless your clients love garlic. I will say that I'm going to, in a later show in this season, I'm going to show the right way to roast garlic and the technique that I learned. So I'm just going to do 2. I won't do any more than that. And nice sized garlic. You know, the other thing about garlic and onions, those are things that should not be stored in the fridge. They should be stored out so they don't develop any kind of bacteria, fungus in there. So just leave it out. I have those little containers. I got it in Belize, you know, from one of the women on the streets that was making these, and it was cute. It was a little basket, and it's made for garlic, so I use that now. Again, I'm taking out the pith. You can see it's right here. What attaches to the stem of it, and that's what releases and gives all the strong flavor. So by taking that out, it's less pungent. It won't be you won't be wearing it for the next couple of days. So I always do it. I learned that from my brother Roger, who has a restaurant out in Seattle. He learned it from Jean-Georges, if I'm not mistaken. So we all grew up in the hotel business, and Roger and I worked in restaurants and Windows in the World Trade Center. He worked at Le Bernardin. I ran the Le Bernardin out on the West Coast. It was called Opus in Santa Monica. So we're all in the restaurant business. My oldest brother, who's an accountant, believe that, but he's owned a bakery, and he loves to cook. My mother loved to cook. She passed away in 2019, but she was a great cook and taught us all. My dad, my younger brother, and myself went to Cornell's hotel school and have worked in hotels and restaurants. So, okay, so we have that. And then I will I'll cook the leeks. These leeks, you can see how dirty they are, all the sand in them. So it's I'm gonna take it, cut it, wash it, dry it, and then we'll put that in there. So I'll be back after we finish with that. Stay tuned. I washed the leeks, and in between all the leeks there was lots of sand and grit, and so just take your time as you're cleaning this up. The next part, if you wanted to just use the white part, you could use the white part. I myself like a little bit of color to it, so I'm going to add not only the white part of the leek, but the ends of the leek, just to give a little more color. And it's also a little bit, we'll add a little bit more texture to it. So I will, I'll cut these, put them in there, and I'll add the garlic and the wine. I'll add the garlic after I put in the cauliflower and the leeks. I just don't want it to burn. And again, if you want it to be a little bit of a thicker, heartier soup, then we're gonna add some heavy cream to it, but you add water to it, and that will thin it out. I wouldn't say it'll stretch it up, I'll just make it not quite so heavy. And it's a great first course. It's a great one for the winter time. If you want it to make it a little bit heartier, then just keep a little bit thicker. And I wouldn't say it's like a stew, but it'll be a heartier dish. Again, on the cutting of the leeks, you can cut it, I cut it as sort of a rough cut. We are going to use the hand mixer, so it will be uniform. So as far as cutting it into smaller pieces, it's not as important. And again, it makes it more of a country type of soup than a refined dish. So we'll add that in there and cook this up, and we'll let that cook for a few minutes. The next part I'll do is, I think, sort of a fun thing, is the fried pickles. I've been living in Atlanta for 17 years now, from New York and Connecticut, and fried pickles are sort of a staple thing. And so when Chef Travis said about the fried pickles, I said, wow, that would be a great idea. It'll go over very well here in the South, which it does. And so we'll fry up some pickles. So you can either buy the pickles already. They sell them at the grocery store, like a fried dill pickle. But I always like to have it so it's fresher. I'd rather fry it myself. So I put some oil on. I use a little olive oil. You could use avocado oil. You could use vegetable oil, which I don't really like too much. Avocado oil is great. Extra virgin olive oil or plain olive oil is fine. We'll get these heated up. We'll stir everything, and then we'll add the next ingredients. In addition to the olive oil I put in there, I put in an entire stick of butter. It's on a 7. It's sort of a low cook. It's not a raging boil by any stretch of the imagination, but there's enough liquid in there that it's not going to brown. The mixture of the olive oil and the butter is, with the leeks, it's pretty spectacular. I will add the cauliflower to it and let that cook down. And so the leeks have been cooking about 7-8 minutes, and the cauliflower will take a good 10 or 15 minutes to cook. And once that gets cooking, I'm going to add some wine to it. Again, so it's not going to burn and caramelize and get the brown color. It will stay as sort of white as possible. I'll add the garlic, and then I'm going to add the cream. There we go. So hang on there. We're moving along. Excellent. So while this is cooking down, I added 2 bay leaves to it, gives some good flavor. And while that's doing that, I will fry the pickles. It won't take long, and I'll just do 3 or 4 pickles. and put them in, and then flip it over after a minute or two, and we'll be ready to go with that. Give this a stir. It's cooked down nicely. It's softer. I'll add the garlic to it. Again, 2 cloves of garlic. You could add more. I probably wouldn't recommend it, but you could add less garlic. So put that in there, give that a stir, and cook this garlic for just a minute, 2 minutes. You don't want it to burn. And what I'll do is I'll add some of the wine to it, and then I'll add the cream and let that cook down. And to thin it out, either chicken stock, vegetable stock, or water. I like chicken stock. If it was for a vegan, then I would just use a vegetable or just water. This is a good vegan item. That's been in for about 30 seconds. For a garnish, I'll just use a peel, like if you're doing a martini, and a lemon peel. And all I want to do is just get the zest. I want to get as little of the white rind as possible. And I'll make a little julienne of that and put that as a garnish into little slivers, and then just make it a fine cut. So it just gives a little bit of hint of the fresh lemon in there. You don't want it overpowering. If it was a lemon preserve, you could put more in there because the flavor will be muted. Okay, that's been in there nicely. That's the white wine. Don't want to confuse it with chicken stock. And then I'll add some cream to it. Give that a stir. Let that white wine cook off. And you can see it's nice consistency. I'll flip over the fried pickles and let that cook another 2 minutes. I've chopped up the cheddar cheese that's been aged 3 years. I'll add that to it. And then as a garnish, I'll have the zest of the lemon, the cheddar cheese, and the fried pickles. So we'll be right back. Excellent. So I'm going to take the pickles out now. They've been in for at least 3 or 4 minutes. Put them on a towel, and then I'll blot it dry, get all the excess oil. So that's good to go. Turn off the heat here. Get another towel and blot this. Okay. The soup's turning out nicely. Smells fantastic. I will take out the bay leaves because after I add the cheese, I will puree it. Add some of the cheddar cheese to it. Get that melted and incorporated in. This won't take long. Maybe at the tops a minute and a half, 2 minutes. And once I puree it, then I can add more of the chicken stock or water to it to make it more of a soup. So 2 minutes tops about on the melting the cheddar cheese. I'll take it off the heat, keep on stirring it. I'm going to add some chicken stock to it. Again, either chicken stock or water is fine. So I added about half a cup, maybe a cup of chicken stock to it. And then we'll put the blender to it. These things are great. I use these for all my soups. This will take maybe 2 minutes to blend up. And you can make it very fine by just blending the heck out of it, or you can just blend it a little bit and make it a little bit more country. But you can see the nice color it has to it with the green of the leeks. I'm gonna add a little bit more water to it. It's just a little bit too thick for me. So I'll add a good 8 ounces of water to it. That was about 6, and we'll see if you need to add some more water. Okay, I like that consistency there. It's not completely pureed. It has some good texture to it. Give that a stir. And so you can see the bits and pieces to it. So when you bite into it, you'll get some texture. And that's what I'm looking for in this dish. It's not baby food, but it is it'll have a little crunch to it. It's quite nice. Okay, so we'll plate this up, put the garnishes on, and be ready to go. So here we go, a wonderful cauliflower cheddar cheese soup with leeks. I garnished it with the fried pickles, zest of the lemon, and then also I put a few shavings of the cheddar cheese, and then I finished it with one of our sponsors, our pink Himalayan sea salt. And there you go. I'm Eydt with Bites by Eydt. Enjoy this piece.